How's it going, everyone? Matt Leighton, Shawn Battle. Welcome back to another real estate video. In today's video, we're going to talk about how you as a buyer can win the house in an extreme seller's market where things are escalating 50K over, 100K over, 200K over. There's nothing on the market. You got to waive everything. And Shawn and I will discuss those points. It is Thursday, February the 13th. You still got one more day until Valentine's Day. Shawn, how you doing?
Happy Valentine's Day, brother.
Yeah, don't scare me like that. I still got one more day.
One more day. You're out. Yeah, you know what? I was just saying, like, man, I'm gonna get out of here.
Are we living in Arlington or Seattle?
I swear it's Seattle. It's been raining for like 2 weeks straight.
Seattle's just the punching bag.
Hey, not only did they give us their market, right? They give us their weather.
Yeah. Hey, Seattle's beautiful in the summertime.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, I don't know. This weather is driving me crazy. I feel like I just need to get out of here. But the market is hot, and we got to teach people how to win these places. Man, we're seeing a lot of contracts, and we expected it, but now it's hammering in, huh?
It seems like every property we're going to, when we're doing the showings, there's other showings going on. There's pre-inspections going on. We're going to dive into it. I do want to say two things. I recently got 2 different sets of buyers under contract in Northern Virginia. One of the buyers, $25,000 under list price for a property that just came on the market, and the other buyer, $3,000 under list price for a property that had been on the market for about 14 days. And that's in Northern Virginia. Is Mount Vernon, that's Northern Virginia, right? Northern Virginia just keeps becoming, like, pretty soon, like, Richmond is going to be Northern Virginia. You know what I mean, though?
Mount Vernon's a long way, but yeah.
Everything is now north of Richmond, everything is Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
But these 2 properties, one was in Roslyn and one was in Mount Vernon. But it just goes to show you, even in an extreme market, you have these little pockets, these types of properties. One of them, you needed to completely renovate it, gorgeous property. The other one smelled like cigarettes. So you have these opportunities, but for the most part, and on the other side of that coin, man, the rest of the buyers I'm working with, it is absolutely brutal out there. And I don't want to use the war terminology of what it's like out there.
It's like a battle out there.
Like a battlefield. I don't want to say that. But let's just get into it. I think you might be the one leading this video. We haven't really talked about it, but...
We haven't talked about it, but now that you're saying what you're saying, you got 2 properties under list price, right? We'll start with that. Do your research first before you write a contract. Do your research on the price, because there are complete opposite ends of the spectrum in pricing, and people are doing both. One is completely overpricing it, where it will sit, and you have to know where you're going to write that price, because they're reaching for the stars at this point, thinking that they can get whatever. And then the complete opposite, which we saw this past week with the house in Arlington, is completely underpricing it and getting so many offers because people think they can get it at that price, or they're going a little bit above, and it's going 150 and plus over that price because it was underpriced.
30 offers.
30 offers. So when you price a single family home, I mean, hey, it's a great strategy, right? You're getting a ton of offers. You can price it wherever you want. It's going to escalate to market value, but I'd rather get it a little bit closer. But.
So yeah, I think I'm with you on that one. This specific property priced at $800,000, $799, got 30 offers, most likely reaching $1 million. So from $799 to $1 million. Now, what should they have been priced at? You know, maybe like $875, $899. But it is like a really good case study, if you will, of how do you get the most amount, you know, for your money. Obviously, you're not going to price it at like, you know, $499 and then have people bid, you know, $500,000 over if it's worth that much. But, you know, pricing it 25 under, the thing is, sellers think if they price their home $25,000 below where they should be, that someone's going to come in $25,000 lower than that. Mm-hmm. When in reality, buyers see that value and bid over that listing price. So then the question becomes, could that specific house have gotten $1 million if they priced at $999? Because I know for a fact that my buyers would not have been interested?
Yeah, that's a good question. Again, you have to know the market, and pricing is definitely going to, like, underpricing it in a normal market or a slower market, you're dead, right? But like underpricing it in this market, it's just going to carry you. But that's a good point. Would it have been more beneficial for them to price it at $1 million? Could they have gotten it? I don't know, but at the same time, they got so many offers with zero contingencies, right? So they don't have to worry about an appraisal, a home inspection, any of the things that you would worry about. So it's like, man, that's the way to do it, right?
They could sell for 1.1, but if it has an appraisal contingency, it's
doesn't
worth
matter.
nothing.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
So what are some of the things on your list to how to write a strong offer?
All right. First, I'm going to say to all the agents out there, right?
Yeah, got some agents watching on Instagram, Facebook.
It's communication with the listing agent, right? If you don't have good communication with the listing agent, you're unknown, right? I have plenty of people that just send an offer without even talking to me.
Like, who are you? When did you show the property?
I have no idea who you are. You have no idea what kind of business I do or what I'm about. And not only that, the second kind of thing that this goes into, you don't know anything that the seller wants, right? So by communicating with that listing agent, you are finding out, hey, what does seller want? Do they want to close quickly? Because sometimes closing quickly is great, but sometimes they don't want to close quickly. Do those sellers need a rent back? Oh my gosh, I mean, like, that's what I need, right? So yeah, I'd love a quick close, but I'd love a 2-month rent back, right? So if you're not communicating with that listing agent, you're probably not always losing, but you have a much better chance of getting that property or getting the good contract by communication.
Yeah, and one of the deals I got under the contract, the agent called me after I said I was interested. He's like, hey, listen, unfortunately we're going to need like a home of choice contingency, which is actually pretty rare these days, where the seller needs to find a property and then move forward that way. And I was like, okay, yeah, 30 days fine. He's like, yeah, that works. And I'm like, okay, yeah, anything else? And he's like, oh, well, actually, we might need a rent back as well. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. 30-day rent back. He's like, really, that long? And I'm like, dude, I don't want to like argue. I don't want to negotiate. Like, my negotiation is, how can we make this work? That's the negotiation. It's not trying to strong arm every single agent that comes across your path. It's simply figuring out what motivates the seller and being flexible and willing to go to those terms.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if communication is the key, if you don't know, you're going in blind. You're writing a contract blind. Yeah, you're doing everything your buyer wants, but I mean, writing anything blind is not a good idea. So moving on to kind of how to write the best contract that you can, I think now we have gone beyond a pre-approval, right? You need to have your financing approved, basically to the point where they just have to approve the house or the condo, right? You need to have your financing dialed in so that you can then waive that contingency. If you know that you're going to get the financing, then you know you don't have to have the finance contingency. So just being pre-approved, anybody can get pre-approved in an hour, but getting to the point of approval is a lot further. And every lender is going to be different, but if you're using a local lender, you can send all the documentation pretty much that they're going to need. Granted, they're always going to have something small that they're going to have to go through, but just knowing that you can get the financing is key.
What would you say to those buyers out there that are maybe using an online lender like Rocket Mortgage or one of these lenders like USAA or Navy Federal?
I think two totally different things. Rocket Mortgage can be pretty good, but what I'm going to say is you need the communication again, right? So if your lender, if you can't call them on a Saturday or a Sunday and get a hold of them, if there's no communication in that, you're dead in the water. The USAAs, hey, I'm not going to cut on different lenders, but let's just say communication is key. And if you cannot get somebody when you want them, then go to a different one, right?
I'm going to jump in here. So I have a client who's working with Navy, I always get them mixed up.
USAA,
I always get them mixed up. Navy Federal. And he says they're a little bit backed up right now, and the quickest they can close is 45 days.
45 days? Are you kidding me? Our lenders can do it in 12, 15, right? So 45 days and no communication. Call a 1-800 number. You might get me, you might get somebody else, you might get that other person. They have no idea what your file is. They're going to look in your file and say, oh, okay, let me look at this for a little bit. You need somebody that knows your file, that you call directly and say, hey, Rich, Shawn, whoever, I need a pre-approval. I need to get this dialed in right now.
When it comes, this is the last question before we move on. When
No,
it comes to a multiple offer scenario and you see someone with a local lender and you see someone with USAA, or I hate to I'm not trying to diss them.
Yeah.
And you
A credit union or somebody that we know is a little slower.
A non-local lender, someone who's a little bit slower versus a local lender, and the offers are so close where you're splitting hairs. And let's say the big bank or whoever is actually a little bit higher. At what price, and it's a tough question, does it make sense to be like, you know what, I know that they're $5K higher, but I've seen their work and we're going to go this route?
I would always go with the local lender. I mean, I would rather counter the local lender at a higher price than take somebody that I don't trust as in the lending realm, because it's only going to hurt you in the end. The thing's going to not appraise. It's going to fall out. The communication is bad. You're not going to hit the settlement date. If your settlements are lined up, think about people lined up to do these settlements one after another, that this house is contingent on this house and this house, and you have a lender that says 45 days and they're not even able to do that. The communication is bad. It's hell. You do not want to go through the stress. Find a local lender. Find somebody recommended to you by real estate agents that know the market, that know what companies are going to get your offer accepted, right?
Cool. What do we got next?
Home inspections. If you're buying a house and there's a zillion people going through that, find out if you can do a pre-inspection. If you're not willing to waive a home inspection, try to get there at least and do a pre-inspection. And it doesn't have to be a full-blown, huge home inspection. Just go in and make sure the foundation is okay. Make sure the roof is okay. Make sure the major components of the home are in good shape. And then it gives you that easy feeling, When it comes down to these contracts, you're going so far above the list price, and a lot of times, what's it matter if there's a leaky toilet or if your appliance isn't working? Yeah. You're talking about a couple $100 to $1,000 or whatever it is. You want to make sure that you're not getting stuck with a bad foundation or something that's going to cost you a ton of money, because you're already escalating way over everything, and in the end, it's like,
Yeah, when you're going through these houses, I have some clients, sometimes they look at the wrong things. They look at, they missed the paint here, yeah. Or this cabinet isn't aligned properly. You're right, it is, but at the same token, what are we doing? What are we doing? We need to be focused on the big ticket items, because while you're worried about this little cabinet, there's 7 other groups right behind you that are going to come in over list price with no home inspection, because who the hell cares about that kitchen cabinet?
That's right. Don't worry about the little things, guys. I mean, and see past the ugly, right? See past the paint, see past the little things that that'll cost a couple $100 to fix. Yeah. I mean, come on.
It shouldn't even matter.
It shouldn't matter.
Location, the layout, the livability, any exterior noise, start with that. And then, if the carpet is dingy, there's these things called carpet companies. You can just get new carpets. It's not a big deal. So, I think overall, just focusing on those big ticket items compared to just worrying about the cosmetic issues.
Yep. So get in there, do a pre-inspection, or waive your home inspection. That's going to win you a contract. There's a lot of people doing it, so there's other ways that you have to make your contract stronger too. So the other one is probably one of the biggest ones, is waiving the appraisal or a portion thereof, right? So these last contracts that you got, let's see, the one you wrote, which you didn't get, I'm sure you waived pretty much everything. So the appraisal is what the lender is going to come in and do, their valuation on, to make sure that that they can loan you the money for the value of the home. So if you waive a portion of that, just know that you're giving up, you're risking some of your cash. So you have to have cash in the bank to be able to waive an appraisal. And say the property's at $900,000 and it appraises at $825 or $875. That means you're $25,000 low. You're gonna have to come up with $25K or somewhere around there to make up the difference. So know that in your mind. You have to have some cash to be able to make up that difference. Or if you're putting a big down payment, that's going to be squashed a little bit. But the key is you have to be taking that risk in order to get that dream home.
Could you adjust your loan amount if
You can adjust your loan amount.
Your monthly payment might shoot up, or what would happen in that scenario?
Well, yeah, so you could. You just have to make sure that you're going to be approved for that higher or lower loan amount. So again, making sure your financing is clear, that you're not going to be bumped out because you're changing the loan amount, right? Because if you're putting a higher amount down, your loan amount's smaller. But if that appraisal comes in low, then your loan amount's going to be higher. Make sure that your financing is all together.
Yeah.
Right?
So, I mean, you've won offers creatively where I've seen you waive a portion of the appraisal. So, hey, we're going to waive up to $5,000 or up to $10,000. And that's kind of a way of hedging your bet a little bit.
Right. You're putting your risk at a certain number instead of saying, hey, I'm waiving the entire appraisal, then your risk is pretty high. What if, right? What if you're not using the right lender and they don't have the good appraisers, which we'll get into. But yeah, you in that case, talk to your buyers and say, all right, how much are you willing to risk? Is it $5,000, $10,000, $15,000? And then you write that into the contract.
Cool.
So, another thing is putting a larger down payment. I don't put a ton of weight into this because it's tough to take your deposit, and really at the end of it, if they're waiving everything, then it's a lot easier to take your deposit. So a lot of times that higher deposit amount, if it comes down to the little things, and it's between a $10,000 and a $30,000 or $25,000 deposit that you're putting in as security for this, then we're going to go with the higher deposit.
Where would you rank the deposit amount on like 1 through 10 of strength of contract terms?
So, as far as
Like-
where the deposit, I would put it on the
So,
lower side,
you
so
know,
it's not as strong, but I would put it in the maybe like 4 or 5.
Yeah, because you got like price, financing, home inspection, settlement in some sort of semblance of order.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you're putting down a $2,500 deposit on a $700,000 house, then a red flag might come up, and it's like, all right, do we want to go with that contractor or someone that's putting like $10,000 or $20,000 down? So
Yep.
I think usually I used to say 1.5%. Now I'm saying anywhere from 2 to 4% for the earnest money. I don't think there's a huge advantage of being like, you know what, I'm gonna do this anyways. Why don't I just put like $200,000 down on a whatever house? But I'm starting to see like 2 to 4%. I think that's
I think that's pretty good. I mean, yeah, I've seen people put 150, and it just depends on the price of the home, right? Naturally, but like I've seen people put 100K down on a $700,000 condo. So.
Have you seen a non-refundable deposit? I guess it wouldn't be called a deposit, but
No, not recently. I haven't seen anybody write in that, hey, this is non-refundable. We're already waiving our right to it. But if you're waiving all your rights anyways, it's pretty,
I think I read something on some online forum on Facebook where someone wanted a seller, listing agent wanted to get a non-refundable deposit. I haven't heard of that before. I'm not sure if that is legal in the condo, because
I
you
don't
know how
know.
you can't negotiate the condo doc or HOA doc contingency. I'm not sure if you're allowed to request a non-refundable deposit.
I don't see why not.
I mean, you just cross out a couple lines.
Say, hey, we're setting this to the title company. If we don't close, it goes directly to the seller.
Yeah.
Why not?
Game on.
Game on. But going back to, I think this is another reason to use a local lender is, especially if you're waiving your appraisal, you're going to use a local lender because they have a good local pool of appraisers. So knowing the value, when we look at values and we see a trend, we know where we think this is going to appraise, and we recommend, hey, we think it'll appraise around here. Well, if you have a good local lender that knows the market, they're going to be on the same track that we are, right? Or maybe they'll be even more tuned in to that price point. If you're using somebody that, like, hey, I called this big bank and I'm using somebody from Wichita, right? And they send an appraiser. Yeah, the people might be local, but are they going to know this market? Maryland isn't local to Arlington, in my opinion. If you're an appraiser coming from Maryland, you might know that market over there. But if you don't have your heels in Arlington right now, you don't know the market, right?
Fair enough.
Fair enough. So,
Yeah.
So-
I have nothing more to add to that. That was very well said.
so use a local lender and have those local appraisals. So now we're getting into the kind of the smaller things, right? Another thing you can do is find out who the seller prefers as a title company, right? So in the state of Virginia, the buyer has the right to choose a title company, the settlement company. But sometimes these little things like, hey, have you used a title? Maybe they prefer somebody, a title company that they want, and so you say, hey, are you willing to use the seller's title company? Why not? I mean,
I am gonna zig where you're zagging
good.
here.
Let's hear your zig.
The preferred title company. Okay, here's what I would do if I was doing that. Oh, you want to use XYZ title? Okay, here we go. I'll use your weird title company in Annandale, and then get the contract accepted, and then I'm just gonna use a title company that I know. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna send a notice. It doesn't need to be signed by the other party. You're simply telling the seller that this is now a split settlement. I don't see how. I mean, I'll play the game. I'll put that in the contract.
Play the game.
And then I will immediately send notice to use a much better title company. Because you know what I hate? I hate affiliated business arrangement disclosure statements. I hate when a company is just using a title company because
they're affiliated.
Because someone is getting a kickback. I think, kickbacks in the industry need to go. And if I'm using a title company, I want to be able to know the person on the other end of the line, because I feel like we're in a market and we're in an industry where anyone can start a title company tomorrow, and I don't want to use a startup title company.
Yeah, title companies, you bring up a good point. Just because you put a title company in the contract doesn't mean you have to use them. You don't even have to give notice that you're using somebody else.
Really?
I don't think so. You can just change and use whoever you want. And the seller wants to do a split, they can split. So I don't think that you have to make any declaration in that. So now we're, a couple of small things and then we'll end this. But I've seen like the perfectly written contract and it was just really nice. And then all of a sudden you get to like the lower pages of the contract and you see home warranty paid by seller. What are you guys doing, man? Like, this is a $500-$600 thing, and you're gonna have the seller pay for it when you've written the perfect contract and you're competing and everything is right, and then you write a stupid home. I mean, warranty policies are good to have. Maybe, I don't know. I've never bought one. I mean, clients of mine buy them. Some people really like them for security purposes. I've had experiences where I'm like, you have to use their people. Do they really? Whatever. We won't get into that. But if you want a home warranty policy, buy it yourself. Don't put it in the contract, especially in a hot seller's market. If it's a buyer's market, totally different. Hot seller's markets, I'm not putting a warranty policy.
Do you think we're not going to notice?
Yeah, really.
But seriously, it's just kind of like an add-on. It's at the end
I'm
of the
going to
contract.
add it in here real quickly and say the seller's going to pay for it. I mean, some people might miss that, especially when you have 30 contracts. But
it goes back to advising your client.
Exactly.
I'm torn. Half the contracts I get, I think that the agent is telling them, hey, listen, you probably shouldn't do this, but if you want to, I'm going to write up whatever contract you say. And then I think the other half of the agents are just like, oh, you want a home warranty on this competitive property with multiple offers that is going to escalate over? Yeah, let's have the seller pay for it.
Yep. Don't do it. Yeah. And one final thing is just a termite inspection. Like, termite inspections are $35 to $50, right? You can say none. We're not doing a termite inspection. I mean, lenders now are starting not to require it. They used to require it. And now you can just say, no, we're not going to do one. Or if you do one, you're going to pay for it. It's like the $50 thing. And it's like, why would we ask the seller to pay for a $50 thing? Anyways, these are the little things, getting into the nitty gritty of stuff where it's like, come on, man.
You're buying the house. You want to check for termites. Oh, but no, wait. We want the seller to pay for it. It's almost like having them, pay for the home inspection. It's like, we want to inspect the property for termites, but we want you to pay for it.
Yep. So that's it. I mean, the big ticket items naturally are your price, your appraisal, your home inspections. Like, these things, you have to be preemptive on these and know your values and get into the house and find out what's wrong. If they won't let you do a home inspection, get through there for a while and look with your agent and try to figure out certain things, look for problem signs. If you have to put in the home inspection, go ahead, but find out how many contracts they're getting, and then maybe revise your offer later. Think about that risk. Are you willing to take it?
Yeah, if they're getting more than 3 or 4 contracts, it's going to be very dicey, including a home inspection. That's where the pre-inspection comes into play there.
Yep.
So hopefully in this video, you learned some really good tips on how to win the property in a competitive market. Guys, if you have any other questions, drop them in the comment section below, or you can reach out to me or Shawn directly. Our contact information is below. For Shawn and myself, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Good luck.